ought to know. Men's radio. The place where men and women really speak. Oh man, what a show. It's men's radio. This crazy show is on 3 times a week. Now Russ and Phil are there to help with all your cares. We laugh, we cry, we talk like grown-ups do. But if you're sad and low, it won't cost you no dough. Men's radio, that's the place for you. With Russ Kane and Phil Dave.
Greetings and salutations, pop pickers. All right, out of Unit 1 into Unit 2 with a little bit of Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick, and you-know-who, all right? Stay bright and don't forget your Brentford nylons. Penny Horner's watching.
Rhyme of the sunny Spain. Viva España.
Chrissy Holt straight in there and says, "Hi boys, we had thunder today and a few spots of rain. Mackerel salad today."
Now, this is weird. This is a very strange composition of a sentence. Hi boys, lovely. We had thunder today and a few spots of rain. Okay. And then it's a complete non sequitur. Mackerel salad today. Does she only eat mackerel salad when there's thunder? Because thunder only happens when it's raining. Only happen when they're playing.
Yeah, or maybe it's because it's raining she has to don her mackerel. Anyway.
You freaking idiot.
Hey, J. Allen.
Absolute Burke.
Barry J. Allen says, "Afternoon, Russ and Phil and MRS World." Good Lord, are you turning into Alan Wicker? Hello, MRS World. Michael Verby says, good morning.
What's he doing in Spain? You should be in Leeds.
Wow.
What's going on? How did you get there, Michael? My cousin Francine's watching. Always good. Hi, Fran.
She's given a
Could you tell our mutual cousin not to phone me at 10 o'clock at night? I didn't pick up the phone.
Well, quite.
Telling you now. You know who I'm talking about.
Now, Francine has put an AOK symbol.
I don't know what she does. Yeah.
With, I
don't know what the hell they mean. I doubt she knows what they mean.
A symbol pointing to a cup of coffee.
Oh, that'll be me.
Not entirely sure.
I don't know what it means. You know what we've got to do? We've got to get a little theme tune for Penny Horner. I think that's entertainment because she runs and is the heart of the German Street Theatre. We go, where is that? I go, hazard a guess. It's called the German Street Theatre. Take a wild punt where it might be.
It's in Berlin.
It's in Berlin, yeah. It's in Diesen Hoffenfuchen Street, Berlin. Yeah. We should have that entertainment or something.
Your microphone is now saturated after that.
Yeah, but luckily I've got the pop shield on, so I'm all right. The little sock. Chrissy Holt, very witty. Uh-oh, in trouble. Sarcasm. Well, you shouldn't be on when it's our...
Thank you, Chrissy. I couldn't agree more. The number of times I get lambasted for being hungry during this program.
Because it's revolting watching you eat. No one wants to watch you eat.
I beg to differ.
Diane Taylor, afternoon, everyone. The lovely Veronica Curran. I say she's lovely. I've never met her. She's up in Edinburgh, I believe.
One of the most popular programs on Netflix is Somebody Feed Phil. Now, I think if that tells you that somebody...
I had to get out of bed for this. I've got things to
eating
do.
On Netflix is popular, I see absolutely no reason why MRS can't do its own version of Somebody Feed Phil.
Because no one cares. Wait a minute. Big news from your mum after I've read something else out. Michael Verby's gone to see his sister Stacey, who the last time I saw Stacey, I think she was 4 or 5. And she lives in Marbella. She's very sensible, Michael. Give her my absolute best wishes. Please do. Linda Dave, no relation to Phil whatsoever. Morning, boys. So excited. This is news for you, Phil, so you better stand by. I hope you're sitting and holding onto the desk. Apart from hearing you, we're expecting the news any second of the arrival of our new grandson. Phil, that's fantastic. Well done. Might happen. This is the arrival of our new grandson. Oh, Phil.
But do you remember? But do you remember Yeah, but
Is that you and Chrissy Holt, or who is the lucky woman?
Ah,
Emma Webb. We don't know. Diane Taylor. It could be anybody.
luckily, I have a sister, and that's all her department, not mine. But can I point out as well
Are you sure?
that the time I heard that I'd first become an uncle was actually when we were live on one of the Friday shows.
Wow.
So who knows? History might repeat itself.
Of course, this is bad news for you in many ways. Because it means you have to go and buy a present.
You really don't know me very well, do you?
No. That's what I've kept vaguely saying.
No, you're quite right. I will obviously need to buy a present that is for some ridiculous.
Have you got a Poundland near where you live?
For some ridiculous reason, it's always disguised as you're buying a present for the baby. Well, what you're actually doing is you're buying a present for the parents of the baby, so it saves them money on something or other. Right. So I've never understood this concept really. I believe that actually you shouldn't really buy. I don't think you should buy presents for children until they're about 4 or 5 years old, so they can actually really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, you don't have kids, do you?
Definitely not.
Don't bother with the present when they're babies. Just get them empty boxes every Christmas. The kids look at you spent a fortune. The toys are thrown to one side. They play with the bloody boxes. You think, why don't they just buy a box? Could have just bought a box, wrapped it up, would have kept them amused for 2 hours. Good afternoon, wonderful news from Ed Grossman, and congratulations, Phil. Congratulations, Grandma Linda Dave and Grandpa Ray Dave. And you didn't even mention this to me, Phil. This is how close we are. This is showbiz. This is once you rip the thin veneer of friendship that is on air, when you rip it asunder and see beneath the carapace. You didn't even tell me.
In my defense,
I'm not interested. No, thank you. You may step down. Thank you. Remember, you remain in court and you're still under oath. Chrissy Holt, wow, lucky you, Linda. Envious of you. I'm still waiting to see my great-grandson. Chrissy, that's just showing off. Great-grandson. Best of luck to your sister and baby. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It is Phil's sister.
Thank you.
Have I ever met your sister? No.
I suspect you'd know if you had. Paul Claridge says,
God almighty. Is she like you, but with like long hair?
I think the best way of describing...
Does she wear a cravat?
No, she doesn't, actually.
Does she drink whiskey like it's Lucozade?
No. In that sense, she's actually quite normal, but I would suggest that's about where it stops. Paul Claridge, but luckily we get on better than we used to. Paul Claridge says, good afternoon. Good news.
Stop. Wait, stop. You can't let that run by.
What?
Because I love that. Luckily, we get on better than we used to. After I attacked them with a carving knife in the kitchen
when the two of us were younger, like 6 months younger, we used to fight a lot. So I would say that it's just, I'm grateful that now we seem to be getting on quite well. And luckily, I would suggest actually that motherhood has changed her for the better by and large.
She's exhausted. She hasn't got the strength or the energy to argue with you anymore. She's just knackered.
Good. It suits her. Paul Claridge says, good afternoon.
So does Hypnol.
From sunny East Croydon. Good news. The police have finally decided to do what I and my friends working in the train station have been asking for years. Increased uniform officers at the station and surrounding areas at busiest times of day. Bravo.
That's excellent. How are they going to catch up with their taking the knee classes?
Quite.
They're going to go into overtime, or what are they going to do? Maybe they do it at weekends. Stephen Marsh. This is a very long and not particularly hilarious joke, but Stephen's gone to the trouble of writing it. When I was a kid at primary school, I liked playing conkers. I loved playing conkers. Was great. I loved it. Are you old enough to have played conkers, or was it bad when you were a child?
Oh, no. We used to love playing conkers.
Conkers was great. I played against a girl in my class.
Conkers became quite developed when I was at school, because it wasn't just a case of putting it on a shoestring. Oh, no. They used to go one step further. People used to bake the conkers.
Of course. Bake them in vinegar. Yeah. I didn't cheat.
And then they used to coat them in some sort of varnish or something like that.
Creosote or something.
Yeah, something like that. To make it much more solid, and they used to take this really seriously. Did you ever get whacked on the knuckles with a conker?
Bloody right I did, and I've still survived without health and safety. It's amazing, isn't it?
Seriously, I mean, the only thing as far as I'm concerned, I mean, you can see my fingers here. This is where it was divide and conquer. Anyway.
Jesus Christ. When I was a kid at primary school, I liked playing conker, says Stephen Marsh. I played against a girl in my class who was much, much taller than me. I wrote a play about it entitled, do the punchline, Phil. Entitled,
She Stoops to Conquer.
Stephen, you have got way, way too much time on your hands. I've decided you need more clients. You need to do more VAT returns. You said you're semi-retired. I think you've got to come back. Ed Grossman, Russ, lovely to see you got some colour in your cheeks. A bit rude. Oh, I see. Looking good. Well, that's very sweet of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're very, very kind. Paul, I'm very pleased the police are actually finally doing something, because everyone who follows the plot of this, what we laughingly call show, will know that Paul regularly has the crap beaten out of him. You know, he's a guy who's recovered from cancer, not in the best of health, has a stoma, all the rest of it. He's incredibly brave. And yet, you know, these little punks beat the shit out of him. It's horrible. So good. Michael Verby in Marbella with his sister Stacey, I think Phil's newfound affinity with his sister may be about to take a nosedive if she's listening. I don't think she's ever once listened to the show. I don't like her.
I think that tells you everything you need to know. Look, for goodness sake, I would suggest that we have very different interests with very different people. We get on in a sense that we are civil towards one another.
Oh, Jesus, are you serious? Wow, you've never even said that to me privately.
Will we ever be the best of friends? No, we won't. And I can tell you, hand on heart, the only time that I've ever been out, you know how some siblings are so close that they go off for food together and things like that. And
well, look at this. Michael Verby's dashed off to Spain.
So the only time,
Stacey.
The only time I ever remember going out for lunch with my sister is once in our lifetime.
Get out of town. You've been out with your sister once ever for lunch. Here's the thing. All right, let me dive into this, if you don't mind me saying so.
Well, I don't mind, but I should warn you that our guest is waiting patiently in the digital green room.
Just have to wait. You've done a buffet. What the hell? There's coffee, there's tea, there's juices, there's nice croissants. She can just wait. Here's the thing. You know, your mum is like one of the most charming people. I don't know your dad well, but he seemed very nice when I met him. But your mum's lovely. And it's interesting. If it's any consolation, my two eldest kids don't get on at all. Never have. Never ever. My eldest son and my fantastic daughter, slightly prejudiced, they've never been close. Not since they were children, ever. And now they are well older, and they, trust me, they really are not close. And I'm an only child, so I've never had the joy of knowing for brother or sister, but my two cousins, Francine and Sarah. Well, I've actually got dozens of blooming cousins, but only two of them are like my sisters. I don't really think of them as cousins. I really think of them as sisters, and that's how close we are. We're very close. So Fran and I are very, very close, and Sarah and I, when we're not screaming at each other, actually, because we're too similar, I think that's the problem. We're very close, although she drives me insane. But there we go. So I've never had a brother or sister. The only time I can say this, and then we go on to our guest, the only time I have ever missed not having a brother or sister, when my mum got Alzheimer's for 16 years, and the whole damn thing was on my shoulders, and I would have loved to have had some help. I would have loved to have a brother or sister who could have shared some of that 16 years burden, because it was bloody awful. Awful for my mum, but then of course she didn't know what was going on. But there's no guarantee, is there, that if I had a brother or sister when mum got Alzheimer's, that they would have stepped up to the plate. Who knows? Who knows?
You do hear these things, and you hear that. So there's always sort of one sibling who assumes responsibility for parents in later life in one way or another, and you can't really.
Then they get pissed off if they're not in the will. That kills me. And you go, or the other way around. You've done absolutely everything, and the one who's sat on their backside doing sod all. Michael, no, it's not the Midwest, it's the South. Men in the Midwest America regularly go out with their sisters. No, it's down south. It's like Alabama, Georgia. Midwest is Oklahoma. Oklahoma where the sun. Yeah, fine. We better go very quickly. Hi, Margaret Chris. Hello to you. Paul Claridge. Siblings don't have to be the best of friends. My 3 brothers and I get along, but we're not in each other's pockets and only see each other every other year. Jesus Christ. However, we all know that if push comes to shove, we're all there for each other. I haven't been there for you in East Croydon. You've had the crap beaten out of you for the last 2 years. Oh, they were there when you got ill. Okay, well, that's a good thing. Paul's very brave. He's very, very brave. Very brave. All right, let's crack on. Because I don't want the guest eating everything in the digital green room because it costs money.
Well, I was going to say this is the problem. You see, you've got to be very aware.
I'm on a budget.
Now, look, we're about to find out about what's described as the ultimate well-being platform. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Called Kind Cody, and I'm very pleased to say that we are joined here on The Daily Show with him, Russ Kane, and with me, Phil Dave. We are live, by the way, until 1 o'clock this afternoon. We are joined by CEO Rosie Frost and head of social media and podcast host Jamie Boyce. Welcome to you both.
Hello.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Hello.
We got 2 guests.
We've got 2.
2 guests.
2 for the price of 1. Isn't that exciting?
Phil, the budget in the green room does not run to 2 guests.
You're absolutely right.
I said get sandwiches for 1. I didn't say get no.
You're absolutely right. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Rosie, you are, of course, both very welcome indeed.
Yeah, absolutely welcome. Now, Rosie, you were on last time, and we had to unfortunately cut you short because that was the moment that the announcement came through that His Royal Highness Prince Philip had passed away, which was a horribly sad day.
Yes.
And I will never forgive anyone on Twitter, etc., who was rude because it was despicable, and it shows what sort of wretches they are. So welcome back. I'm glad you could make it, Rosie, and welcome to you, Jamie Boyce.
Thank you.
I've forgotten where we got up to in our conversation. Absolutely, take us right back to the beginning.
I don't think we got very far. We ended up. I think it was.
We really didn't.
You said, "Hello, I'm Rosie Frost."
30 seconds in.
Oh, that was it. And Wendy's my mum, and then you went. That's it. And we had to cut you short, and you were very gracious about it. So thank you for that. Okay, so let's take us back. I'm going to ask Jamie because I've spoken to you a million times.
You know me. It's okay.
I do know. I've known you for years. Right, Jamie, tell us all about Kind Cody.
Well, I've had the pleasure of being involved with Kind Cody for 3 months now. Absolutely love the platform. As you guys have rightly said, it's described as being an ultimate well-being platform. With the outlook of trying to improve your physical, nutritional, or mental well-being in the process. It runs in online classes with up to more than 130 classes a week. There's online content
130 around a week.
A month.
Oh, a month. Sorry, yeah, a month.
Rosie, he had one job. He had
one job.
One job.
It's fine.
Your workload, you've got to commit to that now. You see, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's it. So, Jamie, you've just committed live on air to 130 classes a week. Good luck with that.
Yeah, sorry about that, Rosie.
Classes. That's okay. We'll talk later.
She's quite Jamie, I've known her a long time. She's quite scary, isn't she? There's a kind of scary. She's quite scary.
Yeah, well, I'm not looking forward to that meeting now, but yeah.
No. It's all right. Phil will come around and act as mediator. He's marvelous with that. Or he send his sister.
Yeah.
Send his sister. Fine.
I think she's about to have a baby any second. So
literally, we're talking about these well-being lessons that we run sort of on a monthly basis. It's the kind of thing that people would expect to come to Kind Cody for. I guess that what I want to try and do is paint a scenario of not necessarily a typical client, but a potential client who might come to you and use your services.
Do you want me to answer this one, Jamie?
Yeah, by all
Yeah.
means.
Don't have a falling out in public.
Right here and now, I absolutely love good manners, and I'm all for it. But it's not very good on live radio. So just dive in. It's fine. If you talk to each other, we love it. Go for it. All yours, Rosie.
So I think Kind Cody is somewhere that is a place that you can be you. There's no judgment. There's no, we are inclusive, and there is no right or wrong approach to coming to Kind Cody, to being a member. It's what you take out of it, what you want, really. If you want to join, you can join one class a week or all of them. You can watch the mental health classes, the nutrition classes, the meditation, the mindfulness. It is up to you. There is no metrics that we measure. There is no expectation for you to show up to something you said you were going to do. It is no pressure, and I think that's what we need. I think in society we're being constantly measured, and our data is being collected all the time. Our steps are being counted, our water intake, our sunlight levels, exactly. And I think sometimes when we're connecting with the way that we're feeling, we don't need to be measured. We just need to know that how we're feeling is valid. And how can we stop feeling a certain way if it's not a positive feeling? How do we stop that? How do we cope with it? And I think with Kind Cody, it's all about educating people to understand that being human is hard. We're not here to say just think positive and life's suddenly going to be magical and wonderful. Life isn't like that. Being human is hard, and Kind Cody is the place where you can come, and we will give you tools to help you better overcome life's inevitable challenges.
What does the name mean? I get kind, but what is Cody?
So Kind Cody means, kind is kindness over everything. It's our overarching value at Kind Cody. And Cody means warrior or helper. So you're either a kind helper or a kind warrior.
In what language? In what language, Rosie?
Good question.
Okay. That's why I get the big bucks. It's just an interesting name. It's an unusual name. I'm just curious how you arrive at these things. I was interested in the derivatives of these things. When did you start this?
It was started before. It started at the end of 2019.
Right.
And with the intention of it being an in-person wellbeing gym, and then COVID hit, and we weren't able to do that. So we had to rethink, and we built an app and a couple of websites and launched throughout lockdown, and then tested the platform, and we've evolved and learned a lot. And I think we've now got to a point where our platform is like Netflix. We have mental, physical, and nutrition, and all of our videos and podcasts and blog is on our website, is on our platform, that you can sort of save the content that you like. You can watch things in your own time, or you can join classes that are live as well.
It's interesting that a lot of our other guests over since January 2019. Was it 2019 when we started? Yeah, January 2020. No, us on the radio. Yeah, 2018 for women. That they do have metrics, and they do measure, because their view was, how do you know if you're making progress unless you've got some sort of baseline to do it against? Now this, my Fitbit, I wear entirely for my own benefit, not for anybody else's, and I want to make sure that I'm doing the right amount of, I'm trying. You get to a stage in life, and you guys are very young, but you get to a stage when you think, I've got to do some exercise, and this is my way of knowing if I'm keeping up the pace or not. So it's interesting. So Jamie, you're in charge of the social media side. Is that your?
I am indeed. Yeah, I head up the social media for Kind Cody. I've been doing it for 3 months now, and I also host their podcast weekly as well.
Now, how instrumental is the social media side of things to what you do? Because the number of times we have referred to on this program that social media appears to be just a cesspit that's getting worse. Right? And I can't help but wonder sort of whether or not it would be quite nice to hear that social media can be used for some good. And I'm wondering how instrumental it is to what you guys do.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think at times social media can be where it can really outline the depravity of the human race, but it's a necessary evil, unfortunately. And I think for Kind Cody, in our corner of social media, in our corner of the internet, we put out a positive message daily. We're always uploading content, whether that's shouting out current members or even uploading inspirational quotes or even services that we provide, so we're always putting a positive shine on our social media and make sure that our followers can see that.
Do you get it? I'm interested because Phil and I feel very strongly about social media. In fact, last Friday's show was all 3 hours devoted to looking at it unflinchingly. And there's obviously good sides to it, and this is how we run the business. But there's obviously horrific bad sides. The Molly Rose Foundation was the ultimate example of how things can go horrifically wrong. So everything's been positive with you. How do you deal with if there's negative comments? How do you deal with that? I mean, that'd be you, Jamie. How do you deal with that?
Well, as a company, we haven't really had, not that I'm inviting it, of course, we haven't really had any negative approaches towards us. Yet, in complete honesty, though, as a business, I don't think we would ever. It would be more that we would look on that person and wonder where that person's at to be necessarily directing hate at us directly. And it would be more addressing that problem and seeing if they're okay, as opposed to. Outlining the actual hate that's there.
Why do you think, Rosie? Why do you think? You look at all of this, especially with mental health. Why do you think a huge number of people, let's not underestimate it, are so full of loathing and hate? Is it because the core of it is they hate themselves, really? So they can't stand themselves, they have to hate everybody else.
I think a lot of it stems from anger, and it's anger at either the world, or it's anger at people around you, or it's anger at your own self and the actions that you've taken. And I think for someone to sit there and actually take the action of trolling or of sending messages that are nasty, not necessarily that they have so much hate within themselves, but I think it comes from anger, and anger is an unhelpful emotion. It's a negative emotion most of the time, and it's important to look at why that person is angry. Is there a rational reason? Because sometimes, if someone does something awful to us, we are angry, and that is okay. That is completely rational anger. I wouldn't necessarily call it hate.
It depends what you do with the anger. If you internalize that anger, that often leads to depression of a very serious nature. And the thing is not to internalize the anger. The thing is to deal with it and deal with that person who's making you angry.
Yeah, and it's learning to calm your voice. It is learning to control the vagus nerve that works with your stress levels. It is learning to calm yourself down.
Whoa, back it up, Rosie Frost. The what nerve?
Yes, the vagus nerve.
So what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Well, yeah, not quite the same.
Oh, okay.
But the vagus nerve.
I've never heard. Phil, have you ever heard of the vagus? I've never heard of the vagus nerve. What is the vagus nerve? This is interesting.
The vagus nerve is.
I think I experienced it in 2009, but other than that.
So basically, if you have a healthy vagus nerve, you develop a healthy response to stress, and instead of having a sort of knee-jerk reaction to it with situations that may trigger you. If someone is shouting at you, you could respond in a knee-jerk reaction and shout back. Or if you are in control, you've got a healthy vagus nerve, you are able to have a balanced mental or emotional state.
Is this a real, Rosie, is this a real thing? Is this an actual nerve? Or is it's a mental attitude? It's an actual nerve. It's a
cranial nerve.
Physically got.
Yeah.
It's a cranial nerve. Yeah.
Yeah. Jamie,
Wow.
can you explain more?
In terms of the anatomy, I think it's the 10th cranial nerve. I think it starts it starts from your brainstem and goes down into your lower abdomen, I believe. But in terms of the general anatomy, I couldn't tell you much more than that. But it is a general, it is an actual thing.
Might I suggest, by the way, that for those who are now thinking of flashing lights and casinos,
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thrilled. I'm excited. I think that I've got showgirls in fabulous outfits with feathers and everything, doing fantastic. Elton John's doing a residency, so is Kiss.
Vagus nerve is actually spelled V-A-G-U-S. V-A-G-U-S. So it's not quite.
You've ruined my mental picture of my vagus nerve. I was really excited then. I thought I was in the MGM or something.
Where did this idea come from, Rosie? Is this all sort of how it is now? Is this how it was launched, or has the project grown or the company grown organically, would you say?
Yeah, so we are growing. We have done quite a bit of research and development into what we're doing, so that we basically didn't want to be one of these companies that scales massively but loses the actual mission and loses the heart of what we're doing. Because I think a lot of businesses can't, I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but a lot of businesses do that and they go, we've got loads of investment, but it's like, okay, is what you're doing, is the product of what you're doing actually helping somebody? Because if it's not, then you're not actually doing what you say you're going to do. And I've got a big problem with, I don't want to be that company. So I really want to make sure that what we're doing is the right thing before we scale properly. And I think we've got to that point now, after the sort of year and a half.
It's a year and a half of utter crap, and I am sick to death of it.
Exactly.
Absolutely honest. I'm absolutely sick to death of it. Can I just ask you a quick question? It's got nothing to do with Kane Cody.
Yes.
But I want to ask both of you, because you're both young rooster doosters, right? Okay, and you want to get out and enjoy life like my kids do. And it's this, right? Every Saturday, I go into Soho for my cigar with Ray Gelato and Colin Vaines, when he's not crippled himself. So we are the cigar trio, as we call ourselves, and we go into Soho and we have our cigars. We've done it right through lockdown. And now, when we go to Bar Italia and we sit there, and it's heaving, absolutely heaving. So all the streets, Frith Street, Old Compton Street, all the streets surrounding it, Romley, etc., they've all got all the tables and chairs and canapes and everything's out there. Everyone's having a wonderful time. How come you can't have a wedding? How do they equate that? You've got thousands of people all behaving, having a wonderful time.
Hang on,
you can't hold
you know that from Monday you can.
Then you say, well, you can't dance. I mean, what does this do to our mental health? You just sit there going, this is absolute crap. It's nonsense.
I think it's just confusing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't personally follow the news to the point where it's sort of exactly, I don't know, I don't want to be in places where it's so busy, because I think I've changed, and I have changed, and I actually quite like more space. So you go out somewhere and you're not bumping shoulders or trying to squeeze through a bar where there's lots of sweaty people, and I think that's just me.
You're not like your mum, are you?
No,
that's her idea of heaven.
No, it's not. I'm going to tell her you said that.
You can do, yeah. I'll get a phone call. I'll get a phone call later. I heard what you said. I heard it. You're never coming here again. Okay. It is interesting, though. I had an unexpected visitor yesterday about changing. I take it very seriously because I know I've changed, and I got very emotional. An unexpected visitor, someone very significant to me, and I got very emotional, which is ludicrous. I don't know why.
But why is that ludicrous?
Well, it's madness.
Why is being an emotional person? Why is having an emotional moment ludicrous?
Why would I be emotional? I just, it was very odd. I don't know why.
But you're human. You are born with emotion.
You say that.
You say that.
You say that. You don't know. You haven't seen all.
Well, you look human and you sound human.
I know it's brilliant what they can do on my planet. Pass as a human. It is interesting. We have changed. Have you changed, Jamie?
Yes, I would say yes. I think lockdown for a lot of people was a period of introspection. So a lot of people spent especially the first lockdown, maybe seeing parts about themselves that they weren't aware of, and it was because they were forced into sitting in a room for maybe a few months. So I think I've definitely changed. I think it's realigned my priorities in terms of family has always been important to me, but I think that's really been reaffirmed. Yeah. And even the things that I thought mattered, like maybe going to the bar and things like that. I haven't done that for a year and a half, and I haven't necessarily missed it, So yeah. I think my priorities may have been realigned, really.
So I don't feel it's weird. One of the guests I'm hoping that we've got, I'm just negotiating with their agents, is there's a survey out. I'm not sure they're coming on Friday. I lose track, and that they think that the psychological effects, which is directly linked to Kane Cody, if I may say so, the psychological effects of this lockdown are going to last at least 5 years. The people who think once it's lifted, it's going to be fine. I think we'll be living with the aftermath of this for at least 5 years. I'm not even going to the economics, but mentally, we will be.
I think so.
I'm convinced.
Well, social interactions. If you think about social interactions now, just the thought of giving someone a hug or shaking their hand is so far removed from what life is actually now.
I won't do it anymore. I said to Phil ages ago, I'm never going to shake anyone's hand. And he said, I said, no, I won't. And if I see people, they can have the elbow, which is, I'm showing respect or acknowledging it, but I won't shake hands. I'll never do that.
I don't think that will be the case forever, honestly. I think you're talking about the here and now because, of course, up in the middle of this. Are you seriously telling me that we are told, and this will come eventually, by the way, I know it will be a few years off, but when we are told that coronavirus as we know it now, as COVID-19 and any subsequent variant that we know now, is no longer the threat to the human race that it currently is. When we are told that day has come, are you seriously telling me you will never, ever do what you used to do ever again? I don't believe it.
Yeah, quite probably.
That's called evolution, isn't it? We evolve as people, we evolve as a race, and we change.
Rose is right. We used to send faxes, we used to send telexes. We don't do that anymore. I don't think I will shake hands.
Nah,
and one thing, and Rosie, you being a female, forgive me for us saying this, but my other half says, one of the things that seemed to be permissible and it was rubbish is that you go to some event and you go, oh, hello, this is so-and-so, and the person goes and gives you a big hug and a kiss. They've never met you before. I think that's a bloody cheek.
Yeah.
That's an absolute nerve. I hate that.
I think also I used to be a primary school teacher, and I think about the kids, when you'd hold their pencils, you'd put your hand, you get the scissors and all sorts of things. And to think the amount of germs that were on all of their stuff all the time, I would not want to be doing that now.
That's
so
interesting.
I don't think I'd want to go and do that again.
That's very interesting. You were a good primary school teacher. You were good at your job.
Yes.
It's interesting. For example, it's not like I've become antisocial, but unless I really know the people, I won't go. If I'm invited to some event, should that ever happen, and I don't really know the people, I know they're making up the numbers, but with the greatest of respect, I'm not going to go because I just don't want to do it anymore. I've become really quite reclusive. I've actually become really quite reclusive. Honest.
Is it reclusive, or is it you as a person choosing the people that you want to spend your time with more carefully? Because we realize, I think in lockdown, we've all realized, time is, we don't have unlimited amount of time. apologies if the dog barks, just by the way.
Sorry,
We don't have an
we've all
unlimited.
got dogs. I think Jamie's the only person without it. You got a dog, Jamie?
I don't know. Unfortunately, not.
He's not in the canine club.
You're not in the canine club, but I think I can't remember what I was saying.
You were saying about choosing. We haven't got limited time, and we
and before when we all felt a little bit invincible, perhaps, and it's like we can go to this event, we can go here, there, meet loads of people. But lockdown made us realise and reevaluate, as Jamie said, our priorities, and we've all kind of, I think, we've chosen our circles and who we want to spend time with and who we value in our life a lot more. And it's not us becoming reclusive. It is us going, do you know what? The time I do have, I want to spend it with this amount, these people, and not all these random people I don't know. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Because
but it doesn't mean we're reclusive.
I'm thinking, I've got to the stage, I mean, I got to it a long time ago. I'm not looking for new friends.
Yeah.
I think you do go through a stage, I need new friends. I've got to do this. I've got to do it. And I years and years ago said, I don't need any more. My real friends are very close, and I could pick up the phone at any time, and they would be there. I don't need all the periphery. It's nice if I see them. It's a nice, positive experience, but I don't need it, and I certainly am not looking to make new friends. So that links into a comment from one of our viewers, listeners, Juliet McDermott, who's charming. You still have to get to the Soho Whiskey Club so I can buy you that drink. Well, you see, for me, that is an environment that I can control. I'm very familiar with the place. It's very small. It's very well organized, and I'm very comfortable there. I would not be comfortable at some random event where I don't know the people. That's entirely different. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right. Question for Jamie from Paul Claridge from East Croydon. What is on those little shelves behind you? Got nothing to do with Kind Cody, but people love our guests. They love our guests, and we want to know everything. Special guests. What is it?
It's shelving in the shape of Noah's Ark. So it's just a series of miniature animals in pairs.
Adorable.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, we can see it now.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. I love that. That's adorable.
I like that. It's fun.
No, it's funny, Ed. Ed Groveman's saying after a few whiskies we're all comfortable. It's not that. It's being comfortable in your own skin. I know Ed thinks.
Being comfortable before the whiskies.
Yeah, precisely. I don't go for the whiskies. I go for the very delightful companionship, and you got like-minded people there.
I do. I go for the whiskies.
Yeah, but you don't have to leave home for that. You got 120 whiskies sitting on your shelf or something insane. Right. What have you found amongst all your various offerings has been the one that's been taken up the most, Rosie?
I think our people like looking at watching the on-demand classes. So the classes that we focus on, sort of short mental health tips or nutrition tips, mindfulness, meditation. People like to watch things in their own time rather than do live classes. I think purely because of time, you can't get the right time if everyone's working on different schedules.
Yeah.
And people like to be able to pause things and write things down, especially if it's mental health or nutrition, come back to them. And we ran a lot more live classes, and we found people didn't want to speak up because they were nervous. But people speak up more when they've watched some of the other classes, so they know they're not going. It's not fear of the unknown. They kind of know what to expect. They have seen me in the videos or seen Nicole, our head of nutrition, and they can go in and go, right, I know what to expect. So it's taking the fear of the unknown out. But I think, our on-demand classes, mental health, meditation, mindfulness, and nutrition, as well as fitness.
I always ask. Yes, I got my fitness training this afternoon. I'm dreading it. To be honest with you, I've already told Gail Nichols Fitness. I've already said I am dreading. So I don't feel in shape. What's the difference? I've asked this before with other people, Rosie. What's the difference between meditation, which I studied, and mindfulness? I've never got a definitive answer. Is it the same thing?
They're not the same things. They come from different kind of backgrounds, but mindfulness focuses on the present moment and gets you to think about the here and now, and not to switch off, whereas meditation is a great way to relax and unwind, so it helps your body to switch off and to relax, whereas mindfulness gets you to be more alert and present within the moment and your skin and your surroundings, whereas meditation is more about switching off. Would you agree with that, Jamie?
Yeah, I think you've put it in a much more eloquent way than what I would have been able to explain. Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah.
One helps you switch off and unwind.
Jamie, you've got the job. It's all right. You relax. You've got the gig, man. It's all right. It's interesting. I'm not quite sure what mindful meditation, which I studied many years ago, and then thought it was a load of rubbish until I did have my first meditation and went out like a light. It was one of those seminal moments. But I've never understood mindfulness. I don't understand what are you supposed to do? Because I keep hearing it, and Phil and I have all these people come and say, "Oh, mindfulness is the great,
if you've got a lot of thoughts in your mind, you've got a lot of catastrophic thoughts, a lot of intrusive thoughts, things that come in and you're questioning and your mind's racing. Mindfulness helps you to just go, right, what is happening right now? Not what does that say?
Well, this was from a previous guest called Cuddy, and I thought, well, this is ridiculous until I tried it, and it might be something that you guys want to develop or whatever. It says snap out of it, breathe, reset, and it's monkey mind relaxation. Right? So when you're getting those negative thoughts, which we all suffer from, and this is a huge subject, we talk about it for hours, and you're beating yourself up, you do this, and this sounds ridiculous, and it's a physical way of resetting. And I found, to my absolute, you can do it with a rubber band, by the way. I found
it's a great thing for self-harm. They use it in hospitals as a coping mechanism for self-harm. Because if you snap a band on your wrist, it gives you it gives you a bit of pain, but it is not harming your skin. So you'll see, they use it for self-harm, to stop people self-harming.
Do they really? I didn't know that. I had no idea.
And toxic waste sweets as well, very sour sweets. Brings your awareness, brings your brain to think about that sensation rather than the things in your head.
Toxic waste sweets?
So hang on a second. Hang on. So rubber bands is a perfect substitute for those who are sadly into self-harm.
Yep.
And then sour sweets brings you to the here and now.
Yep. You will see them. It sounds ridiculous, but
no, I'm loving this. It's an education.
So if you are suffering with a panic attack, for example, if you have a sour sweet, your brain will be able to only think about that sour sweet, and it will help your body your breathing to calm down, you to stop potentially picking at your skin, to stop stressing, because your brain is going, whoa, that sensation of the taste and the sourness on your tongue is the overpowering sensation in your body, rather than the idea of, okay, I'm panicking. So if you have a sour sweet, like one of those really, really sour sweets, your brain thinks about that. And snapping a rubber band, you'll get the same sensation as you would through cutting, for example, but it is not harming your skin. And so they do that in hospitals around the country and in coping tools, rubber bands, essential oils, getting smells. It's all about inducing is that the right word? The sensations, your different senses. So if you fiddle with things, getting a stress ball, so you put one in each hand so that you are you are not picking at your skin, you are not pulling at your hair, you're not tapping or fidgeting or anxious. You know, you've got something that keeps your hands busy. Have something that keeps your sense of sensation. Yeah, exactly. Pinch yourself comes from. You know, smell something, taste something, listen to music. You know, if you're struggling with intrusive thoughts, having a calm playlist on your phone, on your Spotify or Deezer or whatever it is that you use, and having access to headphones, or, you know, just blocking the senses out and just having a playlist that you have chosen, that you know are songs that help you calm down, then yeah.
Isn't it interesting? Now, yesterday I said I had an unexpected visitor.
Mm-hmm.
It was hardly a stranger, I can assure you, and it completely derailed me. I have no idea why. Weird. And so then I took the dog for a walk, and I thought, and I was listening to one of my endless audio books. I always have audio books on the go all the time, which I love. And then I thought, no, I need heavy metal. So I went to my usual heavy metal de rigueur choices, Metallica and Slayer, and put me in the greatest of moods. Absolutely chilled me out. So if I listen to like relaxing music, I never listen to relaxing music. Hopeless for me. Absolutely hopeless for me. But if I listen to very high energy, very angry heavy metal, which is what I like, you know, then it puts me in a great mood. After my dog walk,
you know, and it's all each individual is different. And you know, for me, if I listen to heavy metal, that would probably give me a panic attack.
No, I get no, I totally get.
But for some people, it works amazingly.
But you know what it is, Rosie, and I'm not. This is not one of my gags. I'm being absolutely serious. When I go into my local little supermarket, they have their own. You wouldn't even know, NISA or NISA, NISA. It's not all over the place, but I've got a great branch near me. And they have their own radio station, which drives me up the freaking pole, because it's all hip hop and everything. And I have to get in and get out as soon as possible. If I could wear industrial ear defenders, I would, because like the heavy metal to you would be jarring. I listen to that garbage and it jars me like crazy. And I have to literally get in and get out before I get agitated by it. Weird. Well, it's just music. Who cares? But it does, you know, and also because it's blaring. I don't need music.
It's just we're all different, and we all react to different scenarios and situations in different ways. And music, I think, is really interesting how powerful it can be to support or derail your sense of emotional well-being. Sometimes, you know, listen to songs make you. It will remind, if you listen to a certain song, it will remind you of a certain scenario or situation that happened 10 years ago. Then you'll be sat there going, whoa, deja vu.
No,
and
it's very powerful.
That's a painful memory, or could be a great memory. But music is, it's really powerful.
It's interesting you say this, because my favourite band was always the Beatles. I was fanatical about the Beatles, but I can't listen to them now because I have too many memories associated with the Beatles from childhood onwards. And as much as I love them, if I'm out walking, I can't listen to it. It kind of upsets me. It makes me feel too nostalgic for the past. And I don't live in the past.
Because I find the Beatles help. It sounds really daft, but there are certain situations where I find certain types of music help whatever you are doing. So for me, if I'm sitting in front of my machine doing a day's work, I would listen to chilled out classical music. So in other words, it's got to be a very specific type of classical. It can't be anything that's sort of too dramatic or anything like that. Very easy to listen to classical. Then if I am doing, say, for example, on a car journey, I have to listen to something quite upbeat, because it it awakens me and makes sure that I'm full concentration when behind the wheel. Then if I am working, say, on something around the house, you know, if I'm just doing a chore, that's where the Beatles comes in, because that's where I'd love to listen to them. Isn't it really strange how you do have music that you would treat almost like garments that you'd wear for certain
totally beautifully put, Phil, by the way. I never thought of it like that, but it does affect your mood very heavily. You know, I think it's powerful. All right, before you disappear, pair of you. I'm going to start with Jamie. What would be your top tip?
In regards to,
if you had to look at Kind Cody and say, I'm gonna put forward one tip.
One tip,
whatever, anything.
Oh, big question. Well, I think just if you, Kind Cody is for everyone. It's a holistic view at, your overall well-being. So in terms of if you feel like you haven't done anything in the last year in terms of exercise or anything like that, just give Kind Cody a chance, and you will benefit as a result.
Okay. And Rosie, what would be your top?
My top tip is to, instead of trying to figure out who you are, figure out who you are not first. Eliminate the person that you're not, and if you do that, you will find the person that you are. And Kind Cody gives you the tools to help you do that.
Well, could you run that by me again? Because say it again. So, I want to get it.
We always look for, I want to know who I am. I want to know who I am. But that's really hard. If we can try and figure out who we are not first, and we get rid of all those things, we find out that who we're not, what is left is who we actually are. And instead of trying to figure out who we are first, let's figure out who we're not.
I think I get it.
Oh, no, in other words, okay, all right. So, okay, I put it to you on a trivial level.
Mm-hmm.
You know that cigars and whiskey is very much part of your genetic makeup. It's what you enjoy doing. It's a pastime. But probably something you don't necessarily enjoy doing is, I don't know, going to, say, a football match and amongst a bunch of rowdy...
No, that'd be my idea of hell. Absolutely literally my idea of hell.
So on a physical level, that's what makes you you and what makes you not you. So I think what Rosie's getting at is that sort of on an emotional level, sort of how are you, what are you, how do you behave, what behaviors do you recognize as being part of your genetic makeup versus what you don't recognize. So in other words, you look on with an element of abject horror at some of these individuals who, for whatever ridiculous reason, think that it is okay to tell everybody that they are wrong just for simply having an opinion. That's not you. So you can eliminate that from your personality, from your psyche.
Okay. All right, I get that.
It's a tricky one. It's a philosophical idea, because none of us think about who we're not. We always think about who we are, and we want to know who we are. But to do that, we have to get through a lot of thinking before we can figure out who we are. So figure out who you're not first. Brilliant.
If people want more information about Kind Cody, where do they go, guys?
kindcody.com. kindcody.com.
And Jamie, I would like to think you're across social media as well. So where do they find you on social media?
Well, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the major streaming platforms, and YouTube. You can find us at Kind Cody there.
Excellent stuff.
At Kind Cody Gym, isn't it? Yep. Our handle.
It is indeed, yeah.
Gym is in GYM.
GYM, yeah.
I beg your pardon, GYM, sorry. I can't spell gym. It's been a long day, forgive me. Anyway, that's all we've got time for. Thank you both so much indeed.
Thanks, guys. And thank you, Paul, for your message.
There you go.
Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you much, Russ.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye.
There we go.
Very nice.
Oh,
what have we got in our background? We've got a beach. Is that a beach?
Yes, we're on the beach today, I thought. Because
cool. I like that. I like that. I've realised what I'm not. I'm not a Formula One racing driver for Ferrari.
And as you and I both know, is that life can be a beach. So,
Yay. Absolutely. So, interesting. I love people who you get an idea and then they go and run with it and build a business out of it. Because I know in Rosie's case, it's coming from a very good place. It's something she really feels very passionate about. Very, very passionate about.
Oh, I thought you meant somewhere like Surrey when you said a good place.
You're an idiot. No, I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be joking. We have a packed show on Friday, by the way.
Oh,
absolute packed show, as far as I know. It's interesting when rock stars suddenly have babysitting issues and they can't make a show. I think
I shall make sure that I find a nice quiet corner of a secret location in London where I'll probably be coming from, and then we'll see whether or not we can't make it happen.
That would be lovely. That would
In
be
the
lovely.
meantime, thank you both. Thank you all very much indeed. I should say both. That's only 2 listeners. Thank you all very much
That's
indeed.
you and me.
I'm tired. Leave me alone.
You are tired, and good luck. I hope your sister has a beautiful baby.
Thank you very much. See you Friday at 11. Bye.